Welcome to the fourth episode of the Tornoes, our talk show about startups, kids, life in the US right now. We are going to talk about our previous experiences with our first startup, Swipes, and all the fun stories we had with it. And I wanted to take you, Casper, back to your favorite place, Silicon Valley.
Thank you for taking me back there.
Yeah. What's one of the first stories that you remember from our initial adventure to Silicon Valley?
Oh, that's many years ago. I feel that the first thing I remember was just landing there and thinking like I was meant to be born here. And then living in a bunk bed somewhere with other sweaty guys that was coding and hacking, called a hacker house. Some dude figured out a smart business model to sell a bed in a room of 8 people for $1,000 a month or whatever. It's like brilliant.
That he was the real entrepreneur in the house.
He was the only real entrepreneur, like that's for sure.
It was so hilarious. A lot of people were actually interns. They were not even entrepreneurs. But everybody had this ambition that now they've traveled from all across the country or from the whole world to be in that environment in Silicon Valley. So the entry point was going to live in a hacker house.
There was a lot of funny experiences in the hacker home. Like the dude that wanted to play the instrument.
This is the first time where we experienced the culture differences. Because coming from Europe and most recently living in Denmark, a very humble society with a lot of focus on equality between people. Even if you have a special talent, don't show off, don't make others feel bad, or don't act superior in any way. And going to the US and being in this hacker home with a bunch of people from all around, it was such a cultural shock. There was this one guy one evening who who decided to show off his musical talents. There was another person from the hacker home who was playing beautifully the piano. It was just so enjoyable. We all gathered, everybody dropped whatever they were doing. And then the American dude, he decided to show off. He went to pick up his trumpet and we were like, oh my god, it's like a concert, live concert, this is gonna be amazing. And can you imitate the performance he did?
Well, he comes in. The guy that was playing the piano didn't speak very well English. He was from South Korea and just came to the US. He was a really nice guy, very friendly. And so he comes over and it's like, I can play as well. I'm the best in high school to play the trumpet. Oh, come on, let's play together. And this other gentleman, he's very like surprised, like, what is this? Like, okay, yeah, sure, let's go. And so he takes out the trumpet and it's like, all right, can you hear which one this is? Can you hear which one it is? And the South Korean guy, he's just like, what am I? What are you talking? Yeah, we had to leave the house. We had to run out because we just couldn't stop laughing.
Hilarious. Like he had such an incredible self-belief that was not matching in any way his competence. That it really reminded of this scene in Madagascar where King Julian.
Where he plays the flute, a professional whistler. If I wasn't to be king, I would be a professional whistler. Great stuff. This is turning out to be a fun episode.
Many times we've referred to that situation where there is such a drastic cultural difference in how people are brought up over here and how people are brought up in Europe, where we come from. And there is this flip side of this self-confidence that, well, you're crazy until you actually do it. Long-term, yet potentially in person's life where they just seem absolutely manic and with no results to show off, but a lot of inflated confidence. And yet, if they manage to actually persevere through this hardship and come on the other side, they turn really quickly into success over here.
they're usually better at driving the success, I think, when they hit it, right? But it has a flip side. So the flip side is that you might look stupid when you play an instrument because you thought you were the best, but you were not. I think that it's like also a flip side on the other end, which is you might never actually dare to play the instrument because you feel you're not good enough. It's a balance to get right. For our kids, we try to give them the best of the American culture, the confidence, and but also be humble enough to have like some sort of like self.
Acknowledge their shortcomings. That's right. And it really is it's something to experience when you're a European startup that comes into that new environment. Also, when it comes to fundraising, you're likely to downplay yourself or have a huge urge to have everything figured out in order to maybe meet up with investors or like kind of have the confidence to push yourself out there. Whereas in this market where everything is really fast paced, show off environment, you might get discarded even before you get the opportunity to present yourself.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's a very good point. You're just here because everything goes so fast. Everyone is so confident. Everyone like you might have the like you need to compensate so much with traction or something else. The others will sell. They would have next to nothing, but look like they have everything.
It's a different environment. One thing that was really impressive to me was how Silicon Valley functions on just this basic network between people. And because it's a place of strangers, a place of aliens coming to that area that have very little in common, typically in certain geography, you're going to have high density of people with the same background.
Yeah,
And
that's how it is in Denmark, at least.
and thus they're going to have some similarities that are really easy ways to build relationship upon. Maybe your cousin went to school with that person, or you knew their aunt, or there's always some kind of a relation that you can arrive to that is gonna shortcut the opportunity to collaboration. And when you don't have that and you're in this very dense environment, because Silicon Valley is not that big geographical place, it's quite dense, but you don't have the same background that people share, brands really matter a lot. So one of the things that you experience as a stranger to that environment is that you're going to be really quickly labeled. So you come into an event and you have to signal some form of recognizable brand behind you. You went for a semester at Stanford. You had a cousin that graduated Harvard.
I took a walk on Stanford. Doesn't that classify?
You
I
and me,
went to
babe.
Stanford for a walk.
We did more than once, definitely. I think we're almost full credit students by the amount of walks we've taken.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think we should have some kind of certificate for most walks in Stanford.
There you go. Then we can have that as a badge, as long as it has the Stanford logo. I actually don't
That's
think
all that matters. Yeah. Signaling.
signaling. And that's how networking works in the Valley. You just come to a place, you got to signal a recognizable brand, typically one of these Ivy School, or some kind of a funk background. Funk is Facebook, Amazon, Google, all the big enterprises that are over there from the Valley, that your previous employee or in some way maybe you ate dinner at their premise, which we've also done.
Oh, many times. That's like that's a good hobby to have. We wanted to visit every possible like canteen of all the big companies: Apple, Facebook, Google, Airbnb. See who has the best canteen. That should be how you determine which company to hunt down for a job offer.
Yeah, I think that it wasn't the sole purpose, free lunch, but definitely big bonus.
It counts in this. It counts in the statistics. I think it's.
I liked post canteen a lot. It was very fun to visit.
Definitely the one infinite loop back in the days.
It's super nice to see the new.
Yeah, the new spaceship one something.
These places are just incredible and so
Yeah.
inspiring. We are talking about what it is to come as a complete newbie to this place of absolute craziness. I know no other place in the world where it's so inspiring. The density
Mm.
talent per square meter is unmatchable. The way my mom described it when they were visiting is that when she walks around Stanford, it's as if she's in the bar in Star Wars, and you see aliens from any imaginable shape and form, and the brains are just pouring out, and there is just incredible intelligence and ideation in it.
What did she get? What did she drink at Starbucks? Like, I'm just curious. Like, I want some of that. Like,
Yeah. I
that's
think it's super good reference. I've seen this is the place where no matter where you go for a walk or you sit in a coffee house, you're gonna hear people pitching ideas. I'll
yeah.
never forget this fun fun situation we were in. We were headed out to a pitch event, and of course we were stuck in a traffic jam. So you kept practicing in the Uber, and you were practicing your pitch time after time after time. And then at some moment, the Uber driver kind of got enough of it. So he turned towards us and he said, "Okay, now I've heard enough about your business. Listen to my idea."
If
And he
you're
started pitching an app he wanted to build.
if your Uber driver ain't pitching, you're in the wrong Uber. Like, it's
Absolutely. Yeah,
uh,
that's a place where brands matter so much. It seems very superficial, but my explanation of it is that people really don't have these ties that will create environment for trust, and they need to shortcut that path to trust in order to create collaboration. As humans, like, we are constantly seeking collaborative environments in order to thrive, exchange assets between each other, build upon each other's ideas. And if the foundation of you actually don't know pretty much anybody around you is stranger danger, well, you cannot facilitate that collaboration. But if you can say, well, that person went to Stanford and I went to a course on Stanford, great, now we can build from there on. So you
well, Stanford
actually
went to take a course on us.
that's true. So so the way we can use Stanford is say Stanford studied
Yeah,
us.
yeah, that's it. That's how we do it.
What's the
Oh man.
story there?
So we were living the whole company because we were in our early 20s, youngsters. Yeah, I had a company, not much money, so we just took the whole company of 5 people and moved into a 2-bedroom apartment, and we lived and we worked out of there pretty much like all the time. Like it was something like 900 square feet for the Americans and 90 square meters for all the Europeans. Just doing the little conversion there. And so it was not that big, but we had optimized every single thing inside that apartment. Like we had like a bunk bed with a draw out beds where two bedrooms and one combined living working room that we had done all kind of design optimizations with. So I think at some point Stefan was sleeping in the closet. Like literally, I was like putting. You know, why do they do all these big walk-in closets here and stuff like that? So you might as well just use them for sleeping. Like you can
We
stack
put
a
some
bunch of
grass.
developers in there.
We put some grass on the terrace, and
Mm.
we extended our livable area. It was
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So yeah, in Palo Alto, at some point, I don't remember how it was, but like Stanford got suddenly like, hey, that's super interesting that you guys are living together and all this. Can we maybe study you? We have some master's degree on like
team dynamics leadership. Yeah, organizational.
yeah, they were like, we would love to just come and interview all of you and find out what on earth are you for kind of creatures that you can do this. So we had like a whole group from a master class come up and like interview us, everyone in the company. And the report we got back was that we were very...
The report we got back was that we were very homogeneous. So we
homogeneous, yeah, that's the word.
we broke their thesis because the whole material they were studying was the importance of diversity in teams and in order to foster more different perspectives, better ideas, and so on. And then they thought we were so interesting because we were 3 different nationalities, mixed gender, all living together, small company. So it will be very interesting to study us. But then as they were asking us questions, they figure out that as belief systems, we were completely the same. They could literally copy paste the interview from one person to the next.
Yes.
So in the span of 2 years of living together under this constellation, we have morphed into this one creature with one belief system. And we broke their thesis. And
yeah.
We got a bunch of recommendations how we should diversify more.
Yeah, that was...
Or get out of the house. I think
it's a good start. Just get out of the house.
Getting out of the house meant getting into Stamford. It was literally like the place where we walked to from our house. Yeah, and the graveyard where Steve Jobs.
That was like where we lived, right next to the grave of Steve Jobs. We could look at him. The remainder, or I think he was there, or he was in iCloud. I don't remember where he ended up, but like allegedly he should be there. Some of it.
Do you remember when Pokemon exploded?
Yeah, that was so creepy. When Pokemon Go came out in 20-something, 16, I think it was.
No restrictions in where the Pokestops will be.
Yeah.
So suddenly the whole graveyard was filled up with
the middle of the night. We could see it.
The best potions and everything you can get was there. And we would walk in the night because we have, if people don't know, a little bit of addictive personality to these type of things. So we were playing for any available moment where we were not working. We would be playing and walking around and gathering assets. So we would just be walking in the night in that creepy graveyard together with other Pokemon maniacs.
Yep. Yeah, I remember sometimes when you looked out in the middle of the night and there were just these like cars driving up, going in. It's like people were almost like breaking into the graveyard in the night. It was like really weird. What is going on? Yeah, that was Pokemon Go. Good old
Pokemon Go, the good times. Oh, it was a lot of fun to experience that wave of innovation there. The other really great thing that we experienced was that before we started working from home, we actually had an office, and that was in Xerox PARC.
Yeah, that was nice. Xerox PARC, I remember.
It's place is a corporation. It's a workspace, but it's also a semi-museum where actually Steve Jobs saw so many of the innovations.
It's where he saw the graphical interface. No, it was like that's where he saw it.
Licensed them.
Yeah, I think that he actually did license on the graphical interface.
Working in that office was incredible. It was part of our deal with Alchemist, the accelerator we joined over there. They had offices in San Francisco, in the Yammer office, right?
Yeah, Twitter building.
Building, where once we rode the elevator with Jack Dorsey, we're like, is it him? And by the time we confirmed it's him, he was just laughing and smiling. The doors opened and he finished.
Yeah, good. Hurry up, get away.
Get away from these annoying fan girls and fan boys. And then they had an office in a couple of other cities in Silicon Valley, and the one in Palo Alto was the Xerox office. And there were so many researchers that has been working there for decades that remembered the
Yeah,
glorious
yeah.
time of Xerox
Yeah,
part when
it's how they messed that up. Like every single innovation came out of there in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Everything. Everything. Yet they materialized on zero of it. Xerox of it. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah, and people
yeah.
were very nice, and we
They
had a
knew how
great.
to build things. They were very nice, yeah. They knew how to build and innovate and not how to commercialize. Sounds familiar. Maybe that's why we fit so well in there. uh, awkward.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Think that definitely this bite of innovation is so addictive in Silicon Valley that you feel like you gotta think big. Nothing is
Yeah,
big.
you can't think small because people will punch you in the face saying, "Why are you thinking so small? Think bigger." Not like in Europe where you get punched in the face saying, "Hey, stop thinking so big. You're probably not worth that. You should think smaller." You choose
Yeah,
what you
it's
get punched in the face for. It's a different
different
punch, and
from
honestly, like there's upsides and downsides of both. You can see in Silicon Valley, you would think, I need to think big. You got to go like $1 billion, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing because sometimes the best way for you forward is actually to do something small, figure that out first. You can get as many learnings from operating like a small bootstrap company that's trying to figure out the basics of business. That way might actually be healthier for you versus you just coming and thinking like, we're gonna do this humongous thing and sell a big vision and raise some money and get nowhere. There's also something to the European craftsmanship of operating like a proper business.
you can see it with the economic market changing, the availability of capital changing in the past years, and having much more focus on these bootstrap approaches. There are a lot of great companies coming out of Europe with much more sustainable models. But then AI came, and I think AI changed the landscape again. Because when you're talking about such a transformative technology, you have to be risk taking. You have to take these big bets, and it serves the ecosystem tremendously that there is available capital for high risk bets, because even if a lot of it doesn't in any way deliver immediate value, there is value that starts getting into the ecosystem of people being trained, gaining insight with their next venture, not necessarily repeating that mistake, doing something better. So right now you can see that Silicon Valley is very dominant in the AI space compared to other markets. And of course, we have another change in the landscape in the past weeks. But if we just talk overall Europe and the US, the sustainable and take it slow and gradual approach during hard economic times of Europe was somewhat advantageous during the economic crisis, but now when you're having the transformative technology of AI, everything changed. And you just have to recycle a lot of early stage capital before you can get to these breakthroughs.
What's interesting is that now with the DeepSeek coming out, Europe has just been like, yeah, we're not going to do any AI because we will regulate the AI, but we won't be building the AI. Which, I mean, I know there's a few companies in France. It's been very limited in terms of what contributions Europe has done. Obviously, Hugging Face came out. So in terms of like orchestration, but everything else has been developed in the US, like all the foundational work of Anthropic, OpenAI, Amazon, Google, Meta. They've all been developed here in the US or in China. If you look at all the capital that has been thrown in, like in terms of venture capital, huge chunk of that has been in that like AI foundational layer. And now that we're seeing that, wait a second, actually this whole thing is becoming more and more of a commodity. Maybe that investment might not turn into the best investment. Now there's this meme going on. Before you were like, oh, you're just a wrapper around GPT? Well, shame on you. And then, you have built all the actual AI models and all the things. And then suddenly it's like, oh, DeepSeek comes out. And it's like, oh, we're just a wrapper, It's like, and then you're like a Jedi. It's so I hope, dear Europe, wake up It's perfect timing. Most value creation in the market is not going to come from foundational models. It's going to come from the application layer, verticalized data, verticalized workflows. It's like we are all talking about the agents that are taking decisions on behalf of us. Well, in order to take good decisions, you need good data, you need good insights. Yes, in the consumer space, we have the web, we have OpenAI, that's probably Microsoft. It will be very hard to compete with because, again, the open web is open. So putting more money into it means more innovation, more progress, and faster. But when you go down and talk about AI adoption in the enterprise and companies, oh, wait a second, like domain expertise, like specific data for that use case, that's just where so much value creation is going to be made. And so it's not too late. Europe, stop regulating, start innovating.
That's where we are also focusing our attention and our bet in that space. It's very important to capture either data or user behavior.
Yeah, to own the user behavior.
I think it's going to be increasingly harder to own the user behavior. But if you can layer multiple behavior, even if fraction of them are on your own application, but then you can enrich the data in some capacity, you're still hosting some kind of a credible source. So that is to be discovered this year. We should definitely talk about it in the next episode and talk about what are our learnings and how do we see AI in enterprise data play out.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
So let's do it next time. We have more stories from Silicon Valley.
And many weird stories as well. I think we should take some of the weird ones. We can make one just about weird experiences in Silicon Valley. That's a good title right there.
Weird experiences in Silicon Valley. Love it. Okay. Yeah. Tune in for that one.
Tune in for that. The weird experiences coming up. Nice. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.